What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had an awesome Christmas day yesterday. Got a chance to hang out with friends and family, eat some good food, maybe give or even receive some awesome presents. Let me know if there was something you got that you've been waiting for this whole time, because I always see you guys down in the comments talking about you're waiting for Christmas to come around to get like a PlayStation or a Switch or an Xbox or this game or whatnot, maybe a gaming PC. Let me know what you got down below in the comments. I'm very curious to see what kind of everyone was getting. It was a lot of fun yesterday, though. I had a lot of fun, took a little bit of time off. Still had some videos go up that I had kind of finished up previously, but here we are now, the 26th, heading into 2019 to look forward to what I'm thinking to be another awesome year in gaming. We do have a lot of stuff to go over today because, yes, more and more trademarks are popping up, and we saw Persona 5R kind of show up a bit here as the URL appears to have gone live as Atlas took it over. So things sound like they're about to get interesting, and we're going to talk about why that is. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, do hit the like button. It does help out. We're going to start today with some quick news, and we're going to start with Dragon Ball Heroes. Now, we know a game, Dragon Ball Heroes, is coming to the Switch. We don't know if it's leaving Japan. We feel like it is because it was rated in Australia. But we know at this time that it's coming out in Japan April 4th, and here's some good news. If you've been looking forward to this game, maybe you saw it, it is coming out in Japan, but it appears to be having an English option. And of course, the Switch is region free, which means you can just go download it from the Japan eShop, or you can pre-order it from a place like PlayAsia, or even, I guess, Amazon Japan, and you can have it delivered and then play directly with that. It's one of the biggest benefits of the Switch, having that region free. So now, of course, you don't have to worry about it coming to your region specifically. Onimusha, for example, is technically out right now on the Switch because it's on the Japan eShop. You can get it, has an English option, and start playing it like today if you want. You just have to go through getting kind of the yen, I guess, eShop points and everything on that side, because the currency is still technically broken up at this time. There are ways to get around it, though, but good news there. Here's the thing about this Dragon Ball Heroes game. If you have not seen it, it's called Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. And it is kind of a card game based on the arcade game. So it has over 1,000 different cards, over 350 Dragon Ball characters. They made up a lot of characters, by the way, for that arcade machine. And yeah, it's technically like a trading card style game with Dragon Ball characters. Either way, if you've been looking forward to it, you can pick it up definitely April 4th, and we'll see if there is any information about localization after that. Also, we saw an interesting rating take place, again, over in Australia on Australian ratings boards that may have given away a game that's coming out next year that I don't think any of us really expected. It sounds like it might be a port, not quite the remaster that we know about, which is the Catherine Full Body Edition that's coming out next year. If you played Catherine back in 2011, it was kind of this odd anime puzzle style game where you played a character who would go through these interesting puzzles that you would try to climb to the top of by moving blocks, and it would basically take place at night as you were asleep, and you'd dream and you'd have to get through it so you'd wake up, otherwise you wouldn't make it into the next day. So, what did we find? Well, the Australian Ratings Board appears to have rated a game called Catherine Classic, which is odd because the Catherine Remaster, the Full Body Edition, is coming next year, but we didn't hear about anything with Catherine Classic, and it appears to be set for a multi-platform launch. No platforms were listed or named, but maybe this is seriously just like the classic Catherine brought up to maybe the Xbox One and the Switch. Maybe it was just an easy push to just get that out there, just in case people who missed it on the 360 and the PS3 back in 2011 can try it out here. Or maybe it's something with like a bundle, like maybe it's a pre-order bonus or something, or just something added into like a collector's edition. It's hard to say, but they did rate it, so something's happening with Catherine Classic. And with the quick news out of the way, guys, let's jump into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start with the NES version of SimCity. Do you remember last year we actually talked about it in a video as how 2 prototypes actually surfaced for a SimCity game on the original Nintendo? We know about the SimCity game on the Super Nintendo, of course. Some of you may actually own it. There's a physical card, there's an actual release, it's out there. And it was actually a pretty cool way to get SimCity onto a 16-bit system. But an 8-bit system? Yeah, it's a real thing, and what's really cool here is it has been officially archived. Yeah, so a lot of people were concerned because there were only 2 prototype boards out there that could, of course, be lost to time. There's a lot of ways that it could just kind of go away, get destroyed. It's a physical cart that was not at all digitized, which is something we definitely need to do with physical cartridges. Well, good news here. We did have GameHistory.org actually meet up at a convention and go ahead and pull, or basically dump, the prototypes. They even compared them. They were both exact. They're basically the exact same game, so everything's fine there. And they're also kind of looking through the code and everything, just double checking it. But the good news here, that everyone who saw these releases and they got a bit concerned, it's been at least archived. So it's not going away if those 2 cartridges get destroyed or lost, or who knows. Apparently they were found in like an auction. It's crazy the stuff you can find. And we've seen some weird stuff surface, right? We saw those Wii remotes that were apparently designed even for a GameCube and early Revolution build. That's just like one of the latest, the PlayStation Super Nintendo or Super Nintendo PlayStation system that popped up. We always hear about these things in history, and then they just show up randomly, and we say, okay, I guess that was really a thing, and they were this far along. The NES version was pretty far along, and you can actually check out a video and even the full page where they go through the history down below in the sources. It's a very interesting read to hear about how they were, I guess, this close to getting an 8-bit version of SimCity out to the public. Next up, let's talk about Persona, because Persona 5, of course, is on the PlayStation 4 and the PS3. You can get it on either one. And, of course, we've seen Joker now go to Smash as the first downloadable character with, we believe, a stage and sound or music, soundtrack of some kind. We'll see what kind of music they pull, whether it's one track or a few tracks, and then, of course, a stage. But the one thing that definitely popped up after Joker popped up was, is Persona 5 coming to the Switch? Is that a thing? And people have speculated about this. Rumors have surfaced all over the place about the possibility of Persona 5 showing up on the Switch. And it's a weird thing to think about because, of course, a lot of us believe that there's some sort of exclusivity deal between Sony and the Persona series, the mainline Persona series. Of course, there's like Q2 on the 3DS, but like the mainline Persona series. That's why it was so weird for a lot of people to see, literally say Smash Bros. Cross Persona 5, because that's a mainline Persona game that's generally only on Sony's platforms. We've seen it on the Vita, we've seen it on the PSP, the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 1. I mean, think about all the Sony platforms, they've all had Persona games on them. So, to hear about this is interesting. And here's where things get very, very compelling, because now our URL that Atlas now has shifted the name server to actually point to Atlas. Usually you would get a URL and kind of just register it and leave it kind of parked with some kind of company that can actually hold on to it for you and just kind of keep track of it. They have now moved the name servers completely over, and it's Atlas. You can actually see the listing here, and this was pointed out by PersonaCentral.com, where they noticed this. And something that they also noticed and pointed out is usually the history of this generally tends to point to some sort of announcement coming up. For example, Persona Q2 was PQ2.jp. That was registered on April 18th, 2017, with the name servers moved July 27th, 2017, and then the game was announced 6 days later. Persona 3 had the same situation, as well as Catherine Full Body. So what this is pointing to is the possibility of some sort of Persona 5R announcement. It started to spread online now like crazy, and would it really be an insane announcement to have Persona 5 show up on the Switch? Because that is like the front-running assumption right now, that Persona 5R could be something to do with the Switch. The other possibility, I want to point this out, sure, it could be a spin-off. We've seen the dancing games, right? This could be Persona 5 Racing, Persona 5R. It could also be some sort of re-release or deluxe edition. Or see, a little while ago, we did have Atlas and Sega send out some kind of questionnaire that even asked, would you like to see a Persona 5 re-release that has extra, dungeons and missions and all kinds of stuff, some extra characters? And I have to assume that was checked, yes, quite a bit throughout the survey. So there's also a possibility that that's what it is. But now everyone is really looking for some sort of Persona 5 announcement on the Switch. I will admit, we all assume that there's some sort of January Direct coming up. I don't think that's like a shocker to have that, whether it's a mini or a larger one. Generally, Nintendo has some sort of event where they announce a subset of games. Not shocking to have it in early January to set kind of a roadmap going into 2019. A date on Daemon X Machina, for example, maybe a date for Animal Crossing, maybe a Persona 5 announcement. That's where the possibilities lie because, I mean, they moved the name server and we assume that in the first half of January there would be some sort of direct. It's almost like in a few weeks we could have that direct, and could there then be a Persona 5 announcement? Possible, but nothing's obviously confirmed here. It's all speculation. It's definitely interesting to think about, though. So let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Next up, let's talk about a game that I really liked on the Xbox 360. I don't think as many people liked it, but it was critically acclaimed, and that's Lost Odyssey. So Lost Odyssey, if you don't know, this was back in, this was 2008, I believe. It was a multi-disc game, and I remember when I bought it, they had like some of the discs on like the center ring for the 360, because the 360 of course was on DVDs and they had to stack them up. It had like, I think 3, and then it had a 4th one just in a jacket where the manual goes, because they were trying to stuff them in this little case. And it was a really cool JRPG style game, and I really liked it. It had a lot of reading, but it was actually a very sad game because all the characters that kind of came together were immortal and they couldn't figure out why. I recommend actually going back and playing it because it is backwards compatible on the Xbox One. It's on the digital marketplace. You can just buy it and play it, or of course, if you have it physically, you can pop it into your Xbox One, your One S or your X, and just run off and play it. Liked the game a lot, and it was a pretty fun storyline, and some of the stories that they had where they would outlive their friends essentially or their acquaintances were pretty sad, and you would kind of read through it, and yeah, it'd be kind of touching at times. So I was very excited to see that there was something about Lost Odyssey, whether it's actually a thing or not. I was happy at least see it pop up saying, yes, the trademark has been renewed. Microsoft didn't even wait, which was the weird part. See, they were good up until 2020 with their current registration, but they decided to jump on it and extend it another 10 years. Now, they seem to let some of them kind of fade out, like I think it was like, what, movies, DVDs, and some merchandise stuff, but they definitely kept the video game trademark to themselves, and they extended it 10 more years, not even waiting to 2020, so they have this for a while. And I'd like to see Microsoft do something with Lost Odyssey at this point because, of course, Microsoft and the Japanese market, they don't really get along, but Microsoft's the one who has to make an effort. And I think Lost Odyssey would also work in the US and Europe and everything. I think it's a game that, if done right, with the proper budget and the proper team behind it, even if it's not necessarily the original team, although I think you would lose some of the character there, if they can just get it done and actually put out another Lost Odyssey somehow, I think it would actually do well, and I would really like to see that. So yeah, me personally, yeah, let's get Lost Odyssey, a sequel, something in that universe done. It'd be pretty neat to see. But let me know what you guys think about Lost Odyssey, and if it should come back, or if it's kind of run its course at this point. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about Anthem, which is a game that I think has a lot, just a lot of pressure on it after Battlefield 5. Really did not do well. Like, Battlefield 5 has struggled heavily with sales. It was like, what, 4th or 5th in the MPDs. It's not doing well at all. And it's falling off. It's already slashed big time, like half off at this point, I think. EA is not happy with the sales. And now, of course, Anthem is the next one up. And it's supposed to be a pretty big game. And they're obviously going to expect some big sales out of it. So they need to play it right, which means don't tell any of your audience about DLC or microtransactions or anything that's going to affect gameplay, and it seems like they're at least doing that now. See, when asked about the possibility of season passes or post-launch DLC, it was actually confirmed by Anthem's lead producer, Michael Gamble, that that will not be the case. You will not need to buy a season pass to get additional content after launch. Now, people are very excited to hear about this, but you also have to think about what that could mean, because it seems like there will be microtransactions in there. I don't think I really need to tell you that. It's an EA game, and we're just trying to figure out how far it will go. Adding DLC after the fact for free is the correct thing to do if you're piling on the microtransactions. We have to see how far they're going to push it, and that's kind of where things could get out of control, because EA is on like the thinnest of ice right now with everything that's happened. They have not been able to pull off a game launch in a while without really messing it up. Unless it's like Unravel 2 or one of their smaller indie games that they have, helped to fund. They can't seem to get their AAA, their big budget stuff just kind of set up and done right. So Anthem is one that I'm hoping people actually check out because it's BioWare. I'm at least interested, and I'm going to give the game a chance, but it does look very much like Destiny to me, and that already kind of puts me off, to be honest, because I'm already Destinied out at this point. But I'm at least going to check it out, and I'm hoping, again, that EA doesn't have the same kind of, I guess, grip on it like they have with the other games. So far, the marketing and the PR has been much better than what we've seen with Battlefield 5, which was atrocious, and then Battlefront 2. So here's hoping, because I had this concern that Anthem could be the make or break for BioWare, as in if it completely tanks, that EA is going to look at BioWare sideways and think about what to do with them like they've done with all these other companies and other developers. So here's hoping. What they're telling us here is they want to support the game after it launches because they're expecting to sell, tons, like several million copies in like the first week, and not necessarily that you're going to get this post-launch DLC for free because, well, people are just going to pay for it and all the microtransactions that we're going to add in. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. And leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the possibility of Persona 5 going to Switch. That's what a lot of people are talking about right now. Persona 5R. Is that a Switch version of the game? Or is that simply kind of a, not a remaster, but a re-release with new content on the PlayStation 4 and maybe the PS3? Let me know what you guys think about that one, or even Lost Odyssey or Anthem. I feel like not as many people are as excited about Anthem as they need to be to get that thing off the ground and make it really successful. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.